The meeting is called to order. I invite you to please have a minute silence. Amen. Secretary General, please proceed with roll call of MPs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Right Honorable Tunis C. Mohammed, Honorable Wase Ahmed Idris, Honorable San Shai, Honorable Pinto Aja Satu Kamara, Honorable Abiente Dagomi Awaji Inombek, Honorable Abdul Aziz, Honorable Adeyemi Smart, Honorable Johnson Kwaku, Honorable Afenyo Markin Alexander Kwamina, Honorable Agbandao Kuno Nahu, Honorable Ahi Samson, Honorable Aka Honorable Akwaki Godia, Francis Asekame, Honorable Alipui Senanu Koku, Honorable Ameya Cherme Kwasi, Honorable Asin Eme, Honorable Uyo Ibrahim Usman, Honorable Ayamba Ladi Ayi, Honorable Ayariga Mahama, Honorable Ba Cherno Maju, Honorable Bako Nasiru Arifari, Honorable Balarabe Silame Abdullahi, Honorable Balogun Adebayo, Honorable Baru Keba K, Honorable Betra Emmanuel Kwasi, Honorable Bolovi Patrick Kojovi Sena, Honorable Profi Sidayi, Honorable Bukar Fugu, Honorable Bacha Emmanuel, Honorable Khalifa Sidi, Honorable Karama Karamo, Honorable Chuba, Honorable Kulibali Taure Ajaratu, Honorable Dabu Alhaji S, Honorable Daudu Bashir, Honorable Jibo Ali Amadu, Honorable Ego Ogene, Honorable Zenwa Onyewuchi, Honorable Fanny Musukura Chantal, Honorable Fernandez Alfredo Gabriela, Honorable Gabasawa Nasir Abdulwa, Honorable Bosho Maxel Mone, Honorable Yago Jomo Kone, Honorable Gobir Ibrahim, Honorable Idi Ango Usman, Honorable Indi Masiani, Honorable Isa Murtala, Honorable Isa Salifu, Honorable Isa Mayaki Ramatu, Honorable Jalu Samba, Honorable Kaipe Jonathan, Honorable Kamba Abdullahi Umar, Honorable Kulawole Taiwo, Honorable Kumwe Kuna Rene, Honorable Manli Spain Ajibola, Honorable Masakwa Clarence Kotu Mumolu, Honorable Medega Fagla Sedame Romaric, Honorable Inshelia Aruna, Honorable Mustafa Lekan, Honorable Ndoy Suleiman, Honorable Ndume Mohammed Ali, Honorable Njai Fatumata, Honorable Nubono Azum Hippolyte, Honorable Odebiyi Tolu, Honorable Okpa Obina, Honorable Okejev Emmanuel, Honorable Olujimi Biodon Christine, Honorable Ono Sandy, Honorable Pereira Diaz Orlando, Honorable Rosa Lopez, Honorable Rosario de Brito Nelson, Honorable Sahabi Alhaji Yao, Honorable Seidu Alkali, Honorable Saku Mamadou, Honorable Salam Bamidele, Honorable Saleh Gabriel Zok, Honorable Sal Ibrahima Baba, Honorable Sama Musa Shaka, Honorable Sankara Danladi, Honorable Santos Tavares Carlos Alberto Dos, Honorable Sa Urai, Honorable Cisse Veronica Kadi, Honorable Sayong Aja Fata, Honorable Snow Junior Edwin Melvin, Honorable Suarez da Costa Isa Filomena Pereira, Honorable Soklingbe Senu, Honorable Sila Adama, Honorable Teo Oluyemi Adewale, Honorable Tunkara Billy J, Honorable Umueji Emmanuel, Honorable Vilan Abdullahi, Honorable Yusufu Abdurrahmani Bida Nuhum, Honorable Zagu Stephen J.H. Mr. Speaker, the list is exhausted. I thank you.
Thank you very much, SG. In accordance with our rules, in accordance with Rule 71, paragraph 1 of our rules of procedure, the plenary may deliberate and settle its agenda irrespective of the number of representatives present. It is so decided. Honorable members, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 items on the agenda for this plenary sitting of Thursday, 8 December 2022. Presentation by the President of the ECOWAS Commission on the strategic plan of the ECOWAS Commission and the status of the implementation of the work program of the community, and 2 workshops organized by the UN. The floor to the President of the Commission, I want to remind you of the provisions of Articles 31 and 32 of the Parliamentary Act on the enhancement of the powers of the ECOWAS Parliament. Article 31. During the ordinary session following his appointment, the President of the Commission shall present the strategic plan of the ECOWAS Commission to the ECOWAS Parliament in its plenary session. Article 32. Paragraph 1. At each ordinary session of the ECOWAS Parliament, the President of the Commission shall present a general report on the implementation of the Community Work Program. Therefore, in accordance with these 2 community provisions, we have in our midst today the new President of the ECOWAS Commission, His Excellency Dr. Omar Ali Toure. On behalf of all of you and on my home behalf, allow me once again to welcome and thank him for having heeded our invitation. My appreciations also go to the various commissioners, the vice president, the directors who have accompanied him. Honorable members, dear colleagues, now I invite His Excellency, the President of the Commission, to take the floor and make the 2 presentations, namely the strategic plan of the ECOWAS Commission and his report of the state of the community.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Honorable Speaker, honorable members of the ECOWAS Community Parliament. It is an honor to be with you again this morning to do 2 things. First, to present the strategic objectives of the Commission for 2022-2026. That is for the 4-year period of our management. It will be my pleasure to present the annual report of the Commission for the year 2022. Excellencies, honorable members of Parliament, you would recall that our management came to office in July 2022 at a very critical juncture in our integration efforts. Just as we were recovering from the effects of COVID-19 pandemic, our community is yet again confronted with major security and economic difficulties. Average growth rate has declined from 4.2% in 2021 to 4% in 2022. Inflation has jumped from 10%, 10.4% in 2021 to 12% in 2022. And most of our countries registered increasing budget deficits, rising public debt, and wide balance of payment challenges. Sources of insecurity in the region continue to grow, from terrorism and violent extremism to unconstitutional change of government, organized crimes, ecological crisis, and fake news. Terrorism in particular has continued to threaten our region, spreading from Sahel to the coastal states. Equally, the spate of coup d'etats and counter-coup d'etats continues to reverse the democratic gains made over the years. This is the context within which we have formulated our strategic objectives for 2022-2026. These strategic objectives have only one goal in mind, and that is to deliver shared prosperity. Because in our mind, delivering shared prosperity must be and must continue to be the raison d'etre of ECOWAS. It is for this reason that we have come up with 4 key strategic objectives. Is enhanced peace and security in the region. The second objective is to deepen economic and social integration. The third objective is to help deepen good governance and leadership in the region. And the fourth objective is inclusive and sustainable development. Mr. Speaker, in addition to these 4 key strategic objectives, we have also identified 2 cross-cutting enablers, which we feel would support us in delivering on these 4 strategic objectives. These 2 enablers are capable institutions and equitable partnerships. Mr. Speaker, under the first key strategic objective, which is enhanced peace and security in the region, our intention is to strengthen ECOWAS's capacity in various areas. From peace, security, and early warning, to mediation, rapid response, to support peace and constitutional order in member states. So this is our objective under this particular rubric, to make sure our capacity as a community is enhanced so that we can respond rapidly, we can undertake solid and effective preventive diplomatic efforts, and we can support our countries in the event there is threat to constitutional order. The details are all indicated in the leaflet that will be shared with you if it has not been shared with you. Mr. Speaker, our second strategic objective, as I said, is to deepen regional integration through the promotion and enhancement of intra-community trade. If you look at our figures, intra-community trade in the region hovers around 12%. Countries or regions that have been solidly or properly integrated into community trade there goes beyond 60%. In our case, it is only 12%, and we need to do something about this. And the difficulties are not have nothing to do with tariffs, because under the community protocols, we have removed tariffs on inter-community trade, but we do have serious non-tariff barriers. If you look at reports, they tell you how non-tariff barriers have been keeping our community from trading, because you drive from, you move from one location to another location, you come across several roadblocks, you come across several hindrances that make the cost of trade extremely high. So these sort of non-tariff barriers are affecting us all, and we must do something about them. Mr. Chairman, in the area of social integration, we may have done quite well compared to other regions in the continent. With a simple ID card, you can move from Lagos all the way to Banjul, to Dakar. But that's not enough. We need to do more for our citizens. Our citizens should be able to enjoy freedom of establishment in our countries, freedom of establishing businesses and residents. They should be able to enjoy this. So these are some of the things we are looking at under the social integration part of our second objective. Mr. Chairman, under good governance, which is our third strategic objective, we're not looking at political good governance alone. We are looking at good governance at the corporate level. If we want our private sector to continue to lead our economic growth and regeneration, we need to help build good governance around this private sector and for the private sector, so that there is predictability. When investors are coming into our countries, they would know what to expect. They would know how to behave, what they can they can expect from our countries, as well as our governments and non-governmental operators. So this sort of governance and good governance frameworks is what we think we need to work on, in addition, of course, to good governance at the political level. And your role in this would be crucial as parliamentarians, because you are the lawmakers in our countries. Mr. Chairman, the fourth strategic objective deals with inclusive and sustainable development. Here we are looking at re-examining our development agenda and see how inclusive the agenda is, how sustainable is our activity, or are our activities. We do have some economic operators or operations in our countries that don't pay attention to sustainability. We do have factories being established in our countries that do not care about the type of impact they would have on the environment, on the future generation. So that is why for us it is important to mainstream sustainability in whatever we are doing on the development front. Equally, our development should be inclusive. How much attention is being given to women? How much attention is being given to youth? This group of population constitutes something around 75% of the entire population. So their welfare needs to be mainstreamed in whatever we are doing. So that is why we, in thinking about development, we are mindful of inclusivity as well as sustainability. Mr. Chairman, very briefly, as I said, in addition to these four strategic objectives, we have identified two enablers. The first enabler is capable institution. By capable institution, we mean an institution that has the right resources and the right processes. So under this rubric, what we are looking at are our resources and processes. By resources, I'm talking about the human resources as well as the financial resources. We should be able to have in place adequate human resources, efficient human resources, and we should be able to have in place procedures that allow for judicious use of the limited resources we receive. Equally, our processes need to be streamlined and then made to serve our purpose. A process that takes forever to acquire or to procure a simple pencil is not a good process. And this is some of this is an example of what we want to look at when we are in terms of inclusive, in terms of capable institutions. Our processes need to be re-examined and adjusted so that they will serve our purpose. Mr. Chairman, with regard to the second enabler, what we are looking at is partnership, but not just any partnership. We're looking at equitable partnerships. We want to promote equitable partnership. Mr. Chairman, can anybody explain how, just giving an example, 27 European countries, each of them bigger than our own countries, more powerful than our own countries, but still you have 27 of them sitting on one side of the table against any of our countries to negotiate trade. How equitable would that arrangement be? So these are some of the things we need to look at. We also need to look at the type of support we receive. How much of that support actually gets to us? And how much do we pay for that support indirectly? Equity doesn't mean equality, and I think it is important we have that we have that clear. Equality does not mean equity. So this is one area we are very concerned about, and we're very engaged in. And just for your information, we will be having our political dialogue with the European Union on the 6th of February. And these are some of the things we would like to bring to the table. Let our partners know that we are very interested in the partnership. We are committed to the partnership, but we want partnership that creates winners and no losers. So with those, with this short presentation, Mr. Chairman, this is our strategic object. These are our strategic objectives, and we, for simplicity's sake, we call it the Commission's or the Commission's 4x4, meaning 4 strategic objectives for the 4-year term. So it's my pleasure to present them to you, and we look forward to your observations, your comments, so that we can enrich the document and see how best we can implement what we have identified in them jointly. I thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker.
You can just proceed with the other report.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. Again, the annual report of the Commission is structured in 5 sections. Section 1 looks at the global economic outlook. Section 2 looks at the economic outlook of the African continent. Section 3 looks at the economic outlook of the region, the ECOWAS region. Section 4 looks at the key programs and activities of the Commission and other community institutions in 2022. Section 4 looks at the programs and activities of the Commission in 2022, and Section 5 looks at the key programs and activities of other community institutions. Mr. Speaker, my presentation would just be a presentation, not reading the report, but just presenting it to you. In the first section, where we looked at the economic program, we looked at three things. We've looked at growth, inflation, and commodity prices. What the report shows is that the implementation of work programs by the Commission and other community institutions was carried out in a global environment characterized by slowdown in growth and rising inflationary pressures in all regions of the world. From 6% in 2021, global GDP growth is expected to slow down to 3.2% in 2022 and 2.7% in 2023, due mainly to the effects of COVID and the war in Ukraine, as well as some developments outside the continent. As expected, the developments in the global economy did not spare the ECOWAS region. The slide on the region. Despite the return to the growth initiated in 2021 with a GDP growth rate of 4.2% in ECOWAS region, in 2022, the growth rate of the region is expected to decline to 3.9%. Inflationary pressures are expected to rise and affect all countries in the region. For the region as a whole, inflation is expected to average 12.5% in 2022. I'm moving to section 4, which looks at the key activities of the Commission for the period 2022. And the section is divided into 6 subsections. The first subsection is regional security, peace, and good governance. 2, economic integration and sustainable development. 3, regional trade and free movement. 4, regional infrastructure. 5, social and human development. 6, institutional capacity. Honorable members, with respect to the first section, peace and security, the report covers some of the consultations that have been going or ongoing with countries in transition, countries such as Burkina Faso, Guinea, Mali. Those consultations seek to find lasting solutions and to ensure the return of constitutional order in these countries. I'm glad to report that the authorities in all 3 countries have agreed to implement their respective transition timetables for the return to civilian rule within 24 months, in conformity with the decisions of the ECOWAS authority. That section also covers the Commission's activities in the area of election observations, and it shows the number of election observation missions that have been deployed in countries like the Gambia, and Senegal, Sierra Leone during the year. Section 2, subsection 2, which is economic integration and sustainable development, assesses the economies of member states and the status of macroeconomic convergence for the first half of 2022. And it also indicates the revised roadmap for the introduction of the ECO in the region. The report also shows the work that has been done with respect to the harmonization of the frameworks for public debt management and public accounting in the sub-region. In the framework of the implementation of the priority programs, the report indicates some of the achievements in various areas, including with regard to the West Africa Food Systems Resilience Program, Regional Food Security Reserve, and Regional Fund for Agriculture and Food. With regard to trade and free movement, the report indicated the activities of the Commission in terms of support to member states to ratify the World Trade Organization agreement. It also covers activities undertaken in the area of trade facilitation and regional trade competition. It also shows some of the activities in the area of agriculture, transportation, and pharmaceutical industry. On the ECO visa, the report indicates some of the accomplishments, including the launch of a regional study on the processes for the introduction of a harmonized visa regime, validation of the recommendations to harmonize the design, features, and cost of ECO visa in member states. In subsection 4, which deals with regional infrastructure, the report covers some of the progress realized in the area of regional infrastructure, such as the Abidjan-Lagos Corridor Development Program, the Abidjan-Praia Corridor Development Program, and the Mano River Multinational Highway and Transport Facilitation Project. Under energy-specific projects, under implementation include ECOWAS Regional Electricity Access Project, Electricity Project and Battery Energy Storage Technology, and electrification project of 20,000 villages in West Africa. With regard to subsection 5, which is social and human development, the report shows appreciable achievements that have been recorded under the ECOWAS Namdi Asikwe Academic Mobility Scheme, harmonization of education systems in the ECOWAS region, mutual recognition and equivalence of certificates, assistance for most vulnerable populations in Northeast, Northwest Nigeria, relief fund to support current food crisis, operationalization of the ECOWAS protection and human security integrated coordination mechanisms in 13 member states, and validation of the simplified African Union Continental Results Framework on Women, Peace and Security Roadmap. Mr. Chairman, in brief, that is our presentation for the Commission's activity for 2022. Details are available in the report, and the full written report should be accessible through the ECHO link. In addition to this, Mr. Speaker, the report covers activities by community institutions, such as the House of Parliament, which is your honorable house here, the court, Giaba, and WAHO. The report shows that the ECOWAS Parliament held its first and second extraordinary sessions, which aimed at, among other things, on speeding up revising protocol on democracy and good governance and returning countries in transition to constitutional order within the context of prevention of new cases of violations of constitutional order. With regard to the court, the report indicated the number of judgments and the number of sessions that the court held in 2022, or up to the reporting time. It shows that the court delivered 2 rulings with 120 cases as part of its judicial activities and conducted training for the launch and operationalization of its electronic case management system for electronic filing as part of its non-judicial activities. Concerning Giaba, the main activities reported in the report relate to the adoption of the Mutual Evaluation Report, Financial Action Task Force, International Cooperation Review Groups processes, and the developments in security threats and emerging money laundering, terrorism financing risks. The section on WAHO covers the status of the situation of COVID-19 in the sub-region, and it shows that indeed the COVID-19 situation in the sub-region is improving and shows a downward trend in new cases with no resurgence noted in ECOWAS member states. The report also shows that several programs are still being implemented both at the regional and country levels to control the pandemic. Other health interventions have also been reported by WAHO. Mr. Chairman, this is in brief the presentation of what our annual report contains for the attention and appreciation of the honorable members of this House. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for the 2 presentations, namely the strategic plan of the ECOWAS Commission and report of the state of the community. Honorable members are encouraged to log in into the ECHO link so that you can access these documents to read and understand what the report is all about. With that, you will be able to even understand what is happening in other ECOWAS institutions, not just the Parliament or the Commission. Honorable members, in accordance with the provisions of the Supplementary Act, and as it is the custom in our Parliament, the presentation by the President of the ECOWAS Commission shall be followed by debates. The list is now open for members who want to take the floor. Honorable Kulawole.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. President, sir, thank you for your speech. I really appreciate the strategic objective, but I'm worried. My worry is about AU. What are the strategy of ECOWAS for us to be able to, for ECOWAS to be able to stand side by side with AU? Because most of these objectives are things that are now being preached by the AU, and AU is a big asset for ECOWAS not to be totally subsumed or taken over by AU. Thank you.
Honorable Dawudu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The President, we appreciate your presentation. With some concerns relating to WAHO. Mr. President, even if this is a brief presentation, I think even in this setting, it would be a plus to have an idea of your achievements in the past 1 year. Specifically, the item 43, I think it's number 4 on WAHO. You presented that major cause of death is the communicable diseases, which we understand. But I would like to know the trend that you're saying is going down. What are the percentages that is going down? It's the mortality from malaria or HIV less this year than last year. I don't think there's anything here reflecting that. And then we were also talking about this COVID. I think the Commission had an input into the COVID programs that were established in West Africa. And that helped a lot because it was kind of uniform. But it seems to me, especially when you travel now, that it's still very much haphazard what is happening in various countries. Some people are still doing testing, some people are not doing testing. Can you throw more light into these issues? Thank you.
Honorable Tukara.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the floor. Equally, I want to thank His Excellency the President of the ECOWAS Commission for the brilliant presentation of the 4x4 strategic objective of the Commission with 2 key enablers. Honorable Speaker, over the years, people are having the conviction that ECOWAS is at crossroads with its very reason of existence. If you look at the rationale behind the creation of ECOWAS, very brilliant ideas, fantastic proposals, but the devil lies in the implementation. Over the years, we've seen how integration has been mad. Over the years, we've seen how coup d'etats, unconstitutional change of government, is at the rise. Over the years, we've seen how movement of persons and good within the West African sub-region is challenged. And if the president is coming with this 4x4, it's a tap in the back to actually say that he is understand the burning issues of the region or the community as a whole. If you look at the fourth objective, enhance peace and security, Honorable Speaker, you will agree with me that if action is not taken, the regional peace will be threatened and there will be a proliferation of arms and ammunition within the West African sub-region. And if that is done, development is compromised, famine will be the order of the day, issue of unlawful killings will be rampant all over. If you look at the trend in which we've seen unconstitutional seizure of power from Guinea-Conakry to Mali, and of recently when we are in Lomé, Togo, for the ECOWAS extraordinary session, we've learned the news that the military have taken over in Burkina Faso. Thus, qualify the need for ECOWAS Commission to think in this direction how to enhance peace and security to combat terrorism and unconstitutional seizure of power. That is why I said I wouldn't agree with him more that the strategic priority or objectives are really speaking in line with the current happening. And looking at the strategic objectives, it clearly manifests that these are resource-oriented policies and programs if implemented with other institutions coming to their aid. Speaker, the second enabler, which is integration. The rationale behind the entire issue of ECOWAS is to have that integration, to make sure that people feel, I should feel at home in Nigeria, and the Gambian also should feel at home in elsewhere. So that integration package is very key. And coming into force, so many West African countries has actually ratified the AFCTA, Africa Free Trade Continental Agreement, which call for more robust integration, more collaboration, more competing in terms of trade among the African continent. It called for inter-African trade. So therefore, if there is a key strategic objective geared toward harmonizing those integration, is a right step in the right direction. Coming to the monetary issue, it's very important. It's long overdue. ECOWAS, we must accept. If we accept to come together as a community, we must accept to pay the price or to dance to the tune along with the goals or the aims and objectives of our integration. Common currency or the ECO is pivotal in our unison, in our union. Common currency also is important in our integration. Common currency is important in our trade. So having a common currency enables us in terms of having trade within the West African sub-region. Honorable Speaker, the last objective, which is inclusiveness, sustainable development. It is of no secret that there wouldn't be any proper integration if people don't feel among or feel belong. The sense of inclusivity, if it's lacking, then there is no serious integration. So if you have an objective that is geared toward in terms of creating that enabling environment for people to feel among, sense of belonging, in the entire process of integration is a right step in the right direction. Because at the end of the day, ECOWAS has a dream from ECOWAS of states to ECOWAS of people. And that ECOWAS of people cannot be achieved without inclusivity in our dealings as a member state. So the issue of inclusive and sustainable development is very key as a strategic objective. And lastly is the enablers. Of course, as the saying goes on, that Africa, we don't need strong men, but we need strong institutions. If you have institutions that are capable to operate, organize, and most importantly, resource-oriented institutions that will deliver results, at the end of the day is very key. It's not just by funding the institution, it's not just by giving them the independence they deserve, but they must be resource-oriented. They must deliver results at the end of the day. So I think these key enablers are very important in terms of achieving the earlier mentioned 4 objectives. Coming to the last one is the enabling partner, of course. I believe countries should not be treated by their size or population. Once we agree to come together, regardless of your population size or regardless of your landmass, you should be treated as partners in development. So regardless of your economic outlook or your economic power or your landmass or your population, we must be seeing ourselves as partners in nation building or in regional building. Honorable Speaker, coming to lastly the issue of the report. On page 6, it reiterates the global economic outlook convergence. There is serious inflation we're experiencing as a sub-region. And reasons are advanced that we are not in exemption, even though the Russia-Ukraine war is not happening in Africa, but as a global village, the world has really turned into. We will not be spared. We've seen the rise in inflation from 8.8% and also an increase to another 4.7%. We've also seen the rise in consumer prices will be observed in all regions of the world. Thus, inflation is expected to reach 7.2% in advanced economy in 2022 from 3.1% in 2021 and 9.9% in 2022 against 5.9%. These are really serious issues. So it boiled down to, as a community, what measures do we have in place to make sure that we mitigate, or if not mitigating, but we try to reduce the impact our community are really facing. Looking at our level of production, looking at the rise in price of basic commodities, I think there's a need for us to look inward in terms of resource mobilization, in investing in productive sector of our economy, in trying to also strengthen our institution to make sure that we minimize or mitigate these external shocks that the region is really faced with. So, Honorable Speaker, having said that, I want to congratulate the President for the 4x4 policy objective, that these are well tailored, and I believe they will be resource-oriented at the end of the day if given necessary support as a community. I thank you so much for your indulgence. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Tukara. Honorable Samba.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Honorable Speaker, let me thank the President of the Commission. Your Excellency, when you are given the mandate to run the ECOWAS Commission, I can see you have a pool. Among this pool, I can see 2 eminent persons from the Gambia. That is, these are 2 finance ministers that are believed to be one of the best finance ministers in this country, in the Gambia. So actually, when I looked at your strategy plan, the 4x4, I believe if you utilize your pool with their experience, you will definitely deliver to expectation. Your Excellency, Honorable Speaker, there is a move that you did at the ECOWAS Parliament. Recently, you deploy a lot of fact-finding missions that actually went into the various West African countries. And actually, this move have given us a form of a comparison when the Commission present their report. So, Honorable Speaker, that also is another excellent move. Honorable Speaker, Your Excellency, my issue is on regional peace and security. Your Excellency, you have made mention the issue of Burkina Faso, Mali, Guinea, Conakry. But Honorable Speaker, Your Excellency, for me, in those countries, coup d'etat already happened. But what about there are certain countries in the sub-region, Your Excellency? I would actually want you to keep your eye on these countries, namely Senegal, Sierra Leone, Liberia. These countries are heading election in 2023. And most of the insecurity in this within the sub-region, most of it come from outcome of election. And if you looked at the situation in these countries, you see, Honorable Speaker, in every country where you have the key players in politics, their relationship is very harsh. You definitely expect tension to be within these countries. And if you look at Sierra Leone, if you look at Senegal, recently we have seen what had happened even in Senegal. Because in the House of Parliament, who are the stakeholders there? These are the politicians. And these are the politicians that run the affairs of every country. So if they are indifferent, there is always anticipating tension. Honorable Speaker, coming from Gambia, at the southern part, I'm the Vice Chair of the Defense and Security at the National Assembly. Looking at the southern part of Gambia, recently you have seen, if you monitor the news in the Gambia, there is a press conference that 5 members of the region around the members of parliament from the region around the southern part call for a withdrawal of the ECOWAS security, ECOWAS security in the Gambia. And then, being a member of that committee, I'm one of the members around the southern area, around the southern part, is part of that committee. When I engage him too much, because always there is a problem around the southern part of Gambia. If you could remember in April, when we were having our parliamentary election, there was a time, that was the time the issue of the rebellion and then some of the Senegalese forces had to clash around the southern part to a level, some of their selling were falling in the Gambia. Then I engaged, the defense and security engaged the region. But then it is very alarming. Because what we understand, they're using Google Map around the southern part, the Senegalese forces around the southern part to determine where the border is using Google. And sometimes Google will bring them up to the backyard of the compound within the Gambian territory, to the villages that are around the southern part, which is definitely, Your Excellency, it is very alarming. And then I would want you to look at that area, especially when it comes to Gambia. The only issue is around the southern part. And we need to focus focus on the, in that area. Honorable Speaker, Your Excellency, you talk about tariff barriers. If you are a businessman in any part of the 15 West African states, if you carry your goods, sometimes you even want to throw them and go alone, because of there is serious of unnecessary payment on goods, on goods and services. Very unnecessary payment. There is a lot of impediment when it comes to trade. Your Excellency, these were the issues that I wanted to highlight, or less than until your early warning. The ECOWAS Commission have early warning center in the sub-region. And then I would actually want your institute, the ECOWAS Commission, to be utilizing this early warning, because it's where you get information what is happening in the Kwama within the sub-region. So if you are not utilizing the your early warning center, actually you are bound to get a problem anytime. On that note, Honorable Speaker, Your Excellency, I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Samba. Honorable Chibo.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Monsieur le Président, permettez-moi de féliciter le Président de la Commission, car c'est la première fois que j'ai l'occasion de passer à lui. Toutes mes félicitations pour votre nomination à ce prestigieux poste de Président de la Commission de notre communauté. Monsieur le Président, j'ai pas eu l'occasion de lire le rapport que vous présentez, mais à l'écoute de ce que vous avez dit et au renvoi que vous avez fait par rapport à la, comment dirais-je, au site sur lequel nous pouvons nous inspirer pour pouvoir connaître tout ce qui se passe, je vais devoir me remettre à simplement ce que j'ai entendu et pouvoir vous poser des questions sur la base de cela. C'est-à-dire que les différents pays que mes collègues ont eu à présenter ici, partant de ces questionnements, j'ai l'honneur de vous poser quelques questions. La première sur la libre circulation. Je voudrais vous demander quel est le facteur d'échec qui fait que notre communauté, de sa création à aujourd'hui, n'a pas pu réaliser ne serait-ce que 50% de ses objectifs et de ce vœu en ce qui concerne la libre circulation des personnes et des biens. Je vous donne quelques exemples. La frontière entre le Togo et le Ghana. La frontière entre le Bénin et le Nigeria. La frontière entre le Niger, le Burkina. La frontière entre le Burkina et la Côte d'Ivoire. Et malheureusement, rien qu'hier, j'ai eu une lecture qui m'a fortement déconcerté. Il s'agit d'un fonctionnaire international à la retraite qui écrit une lettre ouverte à Macky Sall et à Goïta Assimi en lui exposant point par point les problèmes qu'ils ont vécus sur la frontière Sénégal-Mali. Alors, ce point fondamental de notre communauté qui serait que nous soyons tous les mêmes et égaux, malheureusement, nous n'avons pas pu l'atteindre. Deuxième problème, Monsieur le Président, et comme je vous l'ai dit, c'est à travers les écoutes des rapports pays, il semblerait que même les cartes, notamment la carte d'identité biométrique, je crois, concernant notre communauté, n'est pas en début d'exécution, a connu quelques débuts d'exécution, mais est en train pour être mise en exécution à travers les États. La troisième chose, c'est le système d'éducation. Le système d'éducation, après toutes ces années, il n'y a pas eu un seul curricula qui ait été établi au niveau communautaire, que l'harmonisation au niveau de nos diplômes, qu'ils soient en langue lusophone, qu'ils soient en langue anglaise ou qu'ils soient en langue française, qu'on puisse savoir que voilà le cursus qu'un élève de la communauté doit poursuivre jusqu'à ce qu'il arrive au professorat. Quatrième point, il s'agissait dans une de nos discussions au niveau de la communauté, du Parlement tout au moins, et on avait parlé du Covid. Et au moment de l'examen de ce dossier du Covid, il s'est agi le déficit qu'a notre communauté par rapport au vaccin. Avec tout ce que nous avons comme cerveau, comme capable de pouvoir aussi, dans la recherche concernant ce domaine-là, faire quelque chose, notre communauté est en train. J'en veux pour preuve que dans le rapport pays du Nigeria, j'ai cru entendre qu'il y a 8000 docteurs nigérians, dont 4000 seulement exerceraient au Nigeria et 4000 autres sont dans la nature. En cinquième point, l'énergie. Tous les fleuves d'Afrique, les principaux en dehors du Nil, coulent dans la CEDEAO. Nous sommes les pays les plus mal nantis en ce qui concerne l'énergie. L'exemple du Nigeria est un exemple. Producteur de pétrole, alors qu'on peut faire l'électricité à partir du gaz, grand fleuve qui est le Niger, qui le traverse également, etc., etc., nous sommes encore déficitaires en matière d'énergie. Qu'est-ce qui se passe et qu'est-ce qu'au niveau de votre institution, de notre communauté, il est prévu de faire? En sixième point, c'est la principale force des pays d'Afrique, c'est de regorger de ressources. Des pays tels que la Guinée, tels que le Nigeria, tels que le Niger, tels que le Mali, mais aussi nous n'arrivons pas à harmoniser nos lois en ce qui concerne notamment le pétrole et deuxièmement en ce qui concerne les ressources minières. Est-ce qu'il n'est pas temps que nous ayons des lois qui sont des lois unitaires, quel que soit l'investisseur qui veut venir dans un pays, il doit se conformer à cette loi communautaire. En septième point, l'agriculture. La famine, et ça aussi, je l'ai eu à travers un exposé, je crois, qui a été fait ici au niveau du Parlement. Il semblerait que la famine menace dangereusement notre communauté. Mais que manque-t-il à notre communauté pour pouvoir faire des semences de qualité, faire produire de l'engrais à partir du pétrole qui est la matière première et produire des pesticides pour que nous puissions arriver peut-être bien à l'autosuffisance alimentaire. En huitième point, je veux m'interroger sur j'allais dire que c'est un discrédit qu'on entend certains intellectuels faire de l'Afrique en disant que l'Union africaine va être en grande partie financée par l'extérieur, c'est-à-dire que nous n'arrivons pas nous-mêmes à financer notre souveraineté, mais je vais revenir à un niveau plus réduit qui est celui de la CEDEAO pour dire qu'à travers le budget justement de la CEDEAO, il y a à peu près 104 millions d'unités de compte qui sont prévues en ordre de financement extérieur. Cela, en valeur CFA, je crois, nous amène à peu près 85 milliards, ce qui revient à dire que nous, de même, quelque part, nous avons une dépendance à l'extérieur. Est-ce que nous n'allons pas arriver à cesser de tendre la main à l'extérieur pour le financement de notre propre souveraineté. Monsieur le Président du Parlement, Monsieur le Président de la Commission, c'était là les quelques questions que m'inspire justement votre exposé de tout à l'heure. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much, Honorable Jibo. Honorable Orlando.
Muito obrigado, Sr. Presidente, pela oportunidade que me concede para intervir em relação à apresentação do Sr. Presidente da Comissão da CDAO. A semelhança daquilo que os colegas que me antecederam fizeram, quero também felicitar o Sr. Presidente da Comissão da CDAO pelo cargo que ocupa e desejar-lhe, portanto, sucessos nessas funções, para o bem da nossa comunidade e para o reforço da integração regional. Estando aqui presente também a senhora Vice-Presidente da Comissão, quero também estender essas felicitações a ela. Em relação à apresentação feita no relatório sobre o estado da comunidade, projetos, programas, eu queria fazer algumas considerações. Há vários anos, pelo menos há mais de 8 anos, que a Comissão da CDAO fala do corredor Abidjan-Bissau-Dakar-Praia. Corredor marítimo. Bom, a Comissão falamos desse projeto, que é um projeto muito importante, sobretudo no que diz respeito ao incremento das trocas comerciais entre os nossos países e também por ser um aspecto importante que seguramente irá potencializar a capacidade de industrialização de Cabo Verde. Cabo Verde só pode estar mais e melhor integrado na CDAO se houver ligação marítima com a sub-região. Tendo em conta a nossa insularidade, somos ilhas. Hoje, ainda bem que já temos ligações aéreas frequentes, garantido pela ASCAI, Air Marrocos e outras companhias, Air Senegal, etc., mas precisamos avançar em relação à ligação marítima. E eu queria saber em que pé está o projeto, qual é o prazo, porque nós, quando anunciamos projetos, quando temos projetos, temos que efetivá-los, porque senão não faz sentido termos um projeto que não é efetivado há vários anos. É muito tempo. Segunda questão tem a ver com o setor do turismo. Também no relatório não se fala quase do turismo, mas sabemos que a nossa sub-região tem grandes potencialidades a nível do turismo e nós podemos muito bem promover este setor na nossa sub-região. E quero dizer que Cabo Verde é um dos países mais turísticos na sub-região e Cabo Verde tem interesse de ter uma agência ou um centro do turismo da CDAO em Cabo Verde, que é para promovermos o turismo na nossa sub-região. Outro setor importante é a educação. A CDAO tem que estipular uma meta clara em relação à educação. Nós sabemos que a educação é a chave para o desenvolvimento. Aliás, o segredo do desenvolvimento dos países que hoje são altamente desenvolvidos é a educação. Temos que apostar fortemente na educação. E pelo menos para que os nossos países apliquem 30% dos seus respectivos orçamentos na educação. Não tenho dúvidas de que, se fizermos isso, estaremos no bom caminho e dentro de alguns anos a nossa sub-região poderá estar muito mais desenvolvida. Outro setor é a saúde. Também há vários anos que nós estipulamos como meta a aplicação de 15% no setor da saúde. E ainda não atingimos essa meta, aliás, estamos longe disso. Também gostaria que fizesse considerações sobre isso, que é para nós acompanharmos os nossos países, para que os nossos países apliquem pelo menos 15% dos seus respectivos orçamentos para o setor da saúde. Eram essas as considerações que eu queria fazer e questionamentos. Agradeço pela vossa atenção. Muito obrigado.
Thank you very much, Honorable Orlando. Honorable Khalifa Saidi.
Muito obrigado, senhor presidente. Também começo por agradecer ao presidente da comissão e a desejar-lhe, de facto, também sucesso no trabalho à frente de uma instituição como a comissão da CDAO. Tenho ouvido com muita atenção as apresentações feitas no que diz respeito ao quadro estratégico, mas também ao relatório sobre o estado da nossa comunidade. E felicito ao senhor presidente da comissão por estas apresentações e começo por colocar algumas questões e também algumas observações. Primeiro, ouve-se falar muito da criação de uma força anti-putsch, anti-golpes de Estado, a nível da nossa comunidade, a nível da CDAO. E fala-se também muito na questão de mecanismos de alerta precoce. Então, temos dois elementos importantes no que diz respeito à prevenção e também ao combate aos golpes de Estado na nossa sub-região. E a minha opinião é, de facto, que a criação de uma força anti-putsch, não é? Implica custos enormes. E essa força teria que atuar sempre que haja um golpe de Estado. Era contrariar o golpe de Estado e, se calhar, repor os titulares de órgãos que democraticamente são eleitos. Muito bem, mas isso tem os seus custos, não só custos financeiros, mas custos humanos, derramamento de sangue, etc. Ao meu ver, devemos nos concentrar mais nos mecanismos de prevenção. Investir mais nos mecanismos de prevenção. Esses mecanismos de prevenção, sobretudo aqueles que já são criados de alerta precoce, é importante reforçar esses mecanismos, a fim de serem acionados em momentos importantes que previnam qualquer tentativa de golpe de Estado, em vez de atuar como bombeiro para apagar o fogo, não é, quando acontece o golpe de Estado. Porque sempre a CDAO definiu claramente o seu princípio de tolerância zero a golpes de Estado, mas esta tolerância zero não se aplica atualmente a esse princípio. Acontece que, quando acontecem os golpes de Estado, a CDAO ou os responsáveis, neste caso concreto, a comissão da CDAO, se mete chefes de Estado atuam no sentido apenas de gerir um calendário para a transição. Portanto, isto é grave, isso não dá credibilidade à nossa organização, daí que é importante aquilo que vou dizer agora em relação ao reforço de relações e de colaboração entre instituições da CEDEAO. Essa colaboração é fundamental, sobretudo entre a Comissão e o Parlamento da CEDEAO. Há anualmente, aliás, 2 vezes por ano, relatórios país que são apresentados nas nossas plenárias. Há também relatórios das diferentes missões de informação que vão a diferentes países com vista a analisar e avaliar a situação política. Esses relatórios são fundamentais para a prevenção de conflitos e de crises. Porque os conflitos e as crises começam com atos políticos. Né? E atos políticos que levam, às vezes, aos golpes de Estado. Né? Por vezes, há mesmo golpes de Estado palacianos, que não são golpes de Estado militares, né? E que são muito perigosos, né? Quando acontecem em diferentes países. Isto de mudar a Constituição, isto de mandatos, etc. Portanto, são elementos muito, digamos que, provocadores de crises e que levam aos golpes de Estado. E então, essa relação, essa cooperação, essa colaboração entre a Comissão da CEDEAO e o Parlamento da CEDEAO é fundamental nisso de acionamento de mecanismos de alerta precoce. É isso que eu sugiro, que esses relatórios que não fiquem apenas aqui no Parlamento, porque são relatórios que apresentam informações muito concretas e que podem levar a que se chegue à conclusão de que há um perigo aí, há um perigo lá, portanto, para se acionarem os mecanismos de alerta precoce. Isso que eu sugiro, de facto, que se tome em conta, e também esses relatórios que são produzidos depois das missões dos parlamentares a diferentes países. Um outro elemento que eu, de facto, gostaria que me falasse o senhor presidente da Comissão, é o estado de implementação da moeda ECO, moeda única. Vimos aqui em tópico, não é, sobre moeda única, que vai se estabelecer em princípio em 2027, não é, porque foi várias vezes adiado esse processo. Então, neste momento, não sabemos, ninguém sabe, em que estado em que se encontra a sua implementação. Sobretudo com essa pandemia de Covid que entrou e que levou aqui aqueles elementos fundamentais para a implementação da moeda única sejam suspensos. Né? Isso de convergência macroeconômica a nível dos nossos países. Por último, senhor presidente da Comissão, eu penso que no âmbito das reformas em curso, reformas institucionais previstas no plano de atividades da CEDEAO, eu gostaria de saber a opinião da Comissão da CEDEAO sobre essa, já está sendo muito falada, né, da eleição direta dos deputados da CEDEAO a nível precisamente dessas reformas em curso. Né. Sobretudo na sua componente financeira e logística, porque fazer eleições implica muitos meios logísticos e financeiros para deputados a nível da comunidade. quando sabemos que mesmo para eleições internas, muitos países, nomeadamente o meu país, a Guiné-Bissau, vive praticamente, utiliza recursos externos, financeiros externos, não tem meios próprios. Né? Agora, ir para a eleição direta dos deputados implica muitos meios. Além de eleição, depois a fase pós-eleitorais, para a instalação dos deputados, para o funcionamento permanente do Parlamento e dos deputados, digamos, instalados a nível aqui, por exemplo, de Abuja, durante 4 anos, tem as suas implicações. Não é? É preciso refletirmos. Nós todos estamos de acordo que seria bom que evoluirmos nessa perspectiva, mas é fundamental analisar essa perspectiva financeira e logística para a efetivação deste desígnio que para nós é fundamental para que haja um funcionamento mais eficiente e mais profícuo do nosso Parlamento. São essas as questões que eu gostaria de ouvir da parte do presidente da comissão. Muito obrigado.
Thank you very much, Honorable Khalifa Saidi. Honorable Abiante.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. Thank you, the President of the Commission, other members of the Commission and my colleagues. I've listened through and have a few areas of concern and probably a few areas where my opinions would differ. First, I appreciate your concerns towards deepening the democratic processes, entrenching democracy within the sub-region, and probably that will enable us to have a more stable environment, a more stable community. I do recall, I think that was the extraordinary session in Monrovia, Liberia, how difficult it was for members to speak truth to the fact that there are diverse tenures across the sub-region. Some countries have agreed 2 tenures, some 4 years, others 5 years. There are some communities or some countries that want it to be elastic forever. In fact, members of parliament were not even prepared enough to say, yes, we want to align with the maximum tenure that can be so defined. So where do we place it? Some countries have tenures that takes maybe 4 years, 5 years. Others have tenures in infinity. And I think it's one of the frictions that we normally have. Because if you find out that you can adjust or tweak your constitution to make you do a 3rd term, a 4th term, a 5th term, you are also aware that it is responsible for some of the infractions that you mentioned, even though you didn't go directly. So what will be our role? What will be our input? What has the Commission done towards enhancing uniformity? Because it is a basis. You can't do enormous and accurate assessment if the baseline is not uniform. You have mentioned to us, and we are all aware, we appreciate it, that there's an intervention from, I think, the People's Republic of China to help us build a new complex, a new ECOWAS headquarters. Some people would be asking, and I am one of those who would ask, no matter how irrelevant it is. It is the same area that we have always had this proverb, or this wise saying, teach me how to fish and don't give me fish. It's from the same environment that we have always had this wise saying. So if now they are coming to give us fish rather than teach us how to do the fishing, what is in it for them? What is in it for China coming to donate to us a new ECOWAS headquarters rather than encouraging us to take responsibility and develop ourselves? My third concern has to do with why has it been so difficult to have progressive increase in enhancing our local content capacity? What do I mean? In the sub-region, we have so much resources, from the agro to the natural. You know the disparity between the raw cocoa in Ghana and the chocolate that you buy off the airport at Heathrow. You know the disparity. We also know the difference between the value of the gold that you just pick and what you get in Dubai when it is refined. Why has it been so difficult for the community, even if it has to do with partnership? Even if we have to give up these raw materials to a country that is very ready, even if we have to support, take off shares, say the community has a gold refining facility somewhere, other communities that produce it get to that point, add value, and then export. It will help to stabilize our economy. Why has it been so difficult for us to come together and look through this challenge? Flowing from there, Mr. President, it is established fact that there is a linkage between the quest, the desire, the drive to manage resources, especially the natural resources. There is a linkage between that and insecurity, even to the point of terrorism. Even to the point of terrorism, there is a linkage. Studies all over the world, not just limited and restricted to where we are. And if we begin to look at why the rise in this challenge, why the rise in insecurity within the sub-region, we could also narrow down to certain essentials that we have that is attracting several characters into the environment. So what other means, what other measures are we putting in place apart from the kinetic approach, like what you just mentioned? We should have a standby force. If there is a coup, everybody goes with their guns, their matches, their bows and arrows to go and make sure that it doesn't work. Instead of, so what other measure apart from the kinetic approach are we looking at to see how, as a community, we can enhance resource management, reduce whatever the impediments are, and ensure that we have a more stable and progressive community? It is always very sad for me, that is my next comment. It's always very sad for me, looking at my background and where I'm coming from, to hear us speak to issues of food insecurity. It's always very saddening to me. Why so? The fact is there that we have everything, the arable land, the environment, the sunlight, to feed the entire world. But we are the ones who cry every day food insecurity. So what is it that we have not done? Or what is it that we need to do? Trying to solve that problem. Several of our countries have faculties in our various universities dedicated to the practice and study of agriculture. Several of our communities also have expert research institutes tailored towards certain aspects to improve agriculture and reduce the challenge of food insecurity. We had here mentioned our feedstock, the parent stock, the resistant seedlings, and every other input related and relevant to the practice of its production. Where do we get them from? That there is a problem in somewhere, Ukraine, Russia, and we are crying here we can't eat bread anymore, when we have all. God has blessed us with all of it. Aside from that, Mr. President, Even in some of our communities, the little that we are able to produce, they rot at the farm gates. They don't even get to those who need them within the community. If you get to places like Boko, Benue State, Nigeria, you find fruits, you find vegetables, they rot. So what is it that we have not done properly that we need to begin to think as a people? If you work together, I think you achieve a lot more. Maybe speaking from one point, you won't be loud enough. If one person is clapping in this hall, you will not hear him well. But if all of us clap at the same time, even those that are walking past the streets will understand that something is happening here. I am not responding to a position that was postulated, but I do know that as a matter of fact, globally speaking, even in our various individual lives, you volunteer to belong to a union, you get involved in an association, even if it is just an association that is to dance, just to play drums and dance. There is nothing like absolute equality. It does not exist. Somebody was telling us to discountenance the issues of land mass, size, and population in our relationships. I don't think that there is absolute equality. Yes, it could be a factor. It could be one of the criteria that will be used in the relationship. Equality of state criteria